Hello and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, April 19th, 2018, and this is episode 56. My name is Carol and I am known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry. The show notes for this and every episode can be found on the blog and also in the episode thread in the Ravelry group. If you'd like to reach me, you can do so via private message on Ravelry or by leaving a comment in YouTube, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me once again. Thanks also for all your good wishes and kind comments after last week's episode. They're always appreciated. I'm feeling quite a bit better than I did last week, but I still have some residual cold symptoms, so I apologize for any throat clearing and sniffling, etc. that might creep its way into this episode. I will do my best to edit all that sort of noise out. It's a beautiful, beautiful sunny spring day here in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. And I am drinking tea today out of my American Goldfinch mug in honor of the fact that I have seen the goldfinches back this week. I saw one on the back feeder, I guess a couple of days ago, and then just not long before I recorded, I saw one in the front. And I did try to get footage both times, but my camera kept wanting to focus on the things around the bird instead of the bird itself. So I didn't think you really wanted to see something yellow and fuzzy and, you know, just moving around. So kind of podcast fail on my part, but I tried. I wish I could just summon them at will, but it doesn't work that way. Yeah, it's always exciting when the goldfinches come back. I think because they're just so different than the other birds around. You know, most of our birds that we get are some version of tan or brown, or, you know, well, less exciting colors, I guess. But the yellow goldfinches really stand out. The house finches, the male house finches this time of year, also really pretty. They've got bright scarlet heads and necks, and they're really pretty too. Okay, so I guess I had really expected kind of an uneventful week when I spoke to you last, and as it is, quite a bit's been going on. So I will get into that later, but we'll start with knitting, because that's what you're here for. I only really concentrated on 3 different projects this week, so that's what I will share with you. First up, the one I spent the most time on is my So Faded by Andrea Mowry. And I'm making this out of Malabrigo Machita in Musas, Sherry, and Wales Road. So I'm very happy to say that I got the body finished. So the top color is 889 Musas. The middle fades into 247 Wales Road, and then the bottom color is 883 Sherry. So I'm really, let's see if I can hold it back here, you can see it in its entirety. I'm very happy with how the colors all faded together. So happy I ripped out and rearranged the color order, because I think it really just works so well. So the next step, I need to pick up around the neck edge. I'm going to do that next and do the ribbing there, and then I will start on the sleeves. I kind of stalled out once I finished the cast off the ribbing. I think it was day before yesterday, I think. I don't know, I just didn't have what it took to concentrate to pick up for the neck, which usually isn't a big deal. I just, for whatever reason, I just couldn't focus on it, and so it's kind of languished since then. What I did pick up in the meantime was my Birkin. And it doesn't look a lot different than the last time I showed it to you, but I've added some length to the body. I'm now just about finished the waist decreases. So you can see it's coming along nicely. yeah, all I sort of wanted to do is stockinette, and that was easy to work on and keep track of. So the yarn, well, here's Birkin Caitlin Hunter's, the designer. I know this is a very well-known pattern. Probably needs no introduction. And the yarn that I'm using is the Blacker Swan Falkland Islands, and it's 4-ply. And the main color that I'm using now is Stone. There's also Tussock, Mountain Berry, Balsam Bog, and Pale Lavender. So yeah, happy with how that's coming along. Still really enjoy working with this yarn. It's just got such a nice hand to it. It's soft and yeah, it just feels good. So sweaters are coming along. We're kind of reaching a point where it's a bit warm to wear them anyway, so it's not like there's a real rush. Except I know when we go up to our cabin next month, the evenings especially will still be cool. So I'm hoping to finish one or the other so I can wear it up there. But you know, I have other things I could wear if not. So the other project that I've been spending time with is the Impressionist Mystery Knit Along Impressionist Shawl by Helen Stewart. And oh, you'll laugh at me because, well, you know how things go. So I had begun this shawl using this as my color A. This is Kinfolk yarn and fiber in the Port Moody colorway. And then my color B is this Ancient Arts fingering sock in the Tea and Biscuits colorway. And then color C was some Malabrigo sock in 853 Abriel. And it looks like this. You can see that skein is still really full. So Clue 3 came out on Saturday, and I think I finally got around to working on it. Maybe it was sometime Sunday or Monday. And you know, okay, this is spoiler. I haven't shown it yet, so that's good. I didn't ruin anyone's surprise, but if you don't want to see what up to Clue 3 looks like, then look away. So I had showed it to you last week, and I told you that I had started with this as color A, and this is color B, and I ended up taking it all out and starting over and reversing those. And so I think when I showed it to you last week, I can't remember if I had finished this. No, I know. I'd finished up to here because this was the beginning of Clue 3, this little section of lace in color A. I'm not showing that very well. It's hard when it's on the needle. There we go. Maybe that'll help. It's funny because when I was editing last week and putting in the pictures from the first rendition of this, I started second guessing myself and thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't have switched the colors around. Maybe I should have left it as going from sort of light to dark. And the truth is, I don't think I've ever been 100% committed to this combination from the beginning. I think for a couple of reasons. One is it's less distinct than I think I'd like. I feel like this maybe color B, this Tea and Biscuits, is too variegated for the shawl. This skein, this color A, is kind of a special skein, and I don't feel like the shawl really does it justice. I think I would prefer this yarn in a little shawlette all by itself to really show off all the beautiful tones. Anyway, I would pick this up and work on it for a row or two, and then I'd put it away. And I actually have done something I've never done before. and I never broke any of the yarns. I just kind of carried them. I'd wove them in as I went, and then I started, you know, down the shawl. So you can see I've got these big long strands of connected yarn here that I never ever did break. So I have decided that I am going to take this apart, reclaim the yarn, and I'm just not married to it, you know. And when you spend that much time knitting, you should really love what you're knitting. And while I love all these yarns separately, and I really like the project, I just am not sold on these yarns for this project. Now this shawl, sorry, I'm just leading out of frame to put some things away. This shawl is inspired by, as it's titled, by Impressionism. And I think in my head, especially after seeing some of the combinations on Ravelry, I had this sense that it really should be more Impressionist, and my color choices should be more Impressionist inspired. And so I kind of have gone through my stash like on more than one occasion and tried to find just the right combination. These two yarns kept coming out to me. This one, I'm gonna lose it in this. Well, I can feel my thing slipping there. These two to me really went together. Sorry, sorry for the interruption. My son was just dropping something off. So I'm not sure where I left off, so there might be a little overlap. I'll try and take care of that in the editing. Anyway, I guess all along while I was knitting my first rendition of this shawl, and especially after seeing a lot of the pictures on Ravelry, I just felt like my color choices, my yarn choices should be more Impressionist inspired. And I went through my stash like a few different times and really tried to find the right combination with what I had. I really didn't want to buy anything new. These two kept popping up, these two yarns here. To me, they're very water lily-ish, very Monet inspired. So this one is Stroll, Knit Pick Stroll in the blue violet tonal. And this one I've had for ages and ages. This one. It is Mama Llama Down Under Sock. And it's from when I was in the Color Co-op Yarn Club, and this is from January 2012, I've written down. So that's quite a while ago. That's like more than 6 years. So I really, really liked those two together, and I just kept going through things and trying to find something to complement them. And then last night I ended up with a couple of dark teal skeins, and they were just a little too bright. And then I remembered I had this Knit Picks gloss fingering weight in, I think it's called Kenai, which I found out is a city in Alaska. So that's spelled like that, K-E-N-I-E, no, K-E-N-A-I. And I just thought those worked really well. The other teals were about the same, but they were in a different kind of yarn, and they just felt too bright compared to this. Where this texture, I think, because the gloss has some silk in it, it's a little fuzzier like these other two yarns. And so this is color A, this is color B, and this is color C. And I know I might end up in the same situation as the first combination that I had tried, in that when I add the stripes of this into this, they might not stand out super a super amount, but now that I'm further down the shawl, I know that there's areas where this will be on its own more and where it will contrast with this too. And so I think I'll be okay. So yeah, that's the new one. So I've only just started it last night, so I'm not very far, not even 10% of the way. But you can get a sense of how they're going to knit up together. Oh, I realize I just finished a right side row, so I have one yarn leaving, one yarn coming from this end, and one yarn coming from this end, so they're kind of tangled. Let me see if I can fix that. Sorry, what a mess. There we go. So there we go. So there's the beginning, and already I just am just loving it more. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this take shape. I think I mentioned a week or two ago, I was kind of avoiding these colors because I didn't know how much I'd wear them, honestly, together, but I don't even care. This one I think is now just for the experience, and pretty colors, and I think they will look nice together. So there we are with that. So not very far along, and I'm definitely not going to be caught up to the end of Clue 3 by the time Clue 4 comes out on Saturday, but that's okay. That's not what it's all about anyway. As for what I'm reading, I finished Appointment with Death by Agatha Christie a couple nights ago. You know, I really enjoyed this book, and I thought I had a pretty good idea who might have committed the murder. And then this was one of those books where the absolute least likely suspect, who's never really been a suspect at all through the whole analysis, ends up being the murderer. So I was kind of disappointed in that. Sometimes I just feel like they're so far-fetched, and the reader, I guess I feel it's unfair to the reader. The reader has no way of knowing why this person should even be considered. There's not really anything. To me, the clues were very weak that she would even be a candidate for it. So in that sense, I was disappointed, but I did enjoy this story. And I think, as I told you last week, it was told from the point of view of a different character, and who was observing this family in which this murder is committed. So it was kind of coming from a bit of an outside view, and it wasn't till very close, more than halfway through, that Hercule Poirot came into play in any great fashion. So yeah, it was. I really did enjoy this one. I have no idea which one is next in the series, and I'm not sure what I'm going to be reading next in any case, but that one's done. Made for some good bedtime reading this last week or so. So as I said, I kind of expected a rather quiet week ahead when I talked to you last, and that's not what happened, but life is like that, right? You never know what it's going to throw at you. So the first thing was early Friday morning. When I say early, I mean like just after 2. My husband and I had been up late talking about another event, which I'll talk about in a minute. So he had gone to sleep, and I was just drifting still, and I heard a loud bang, loud enough that it kind of reverberated. At the time, I described it as it shook the house, and really, I don't think it really shook the house, but it had that vibration to it. So I didn't know what it was. Woke up my husband and got him to get up with me and look around the house, make sure everything was okay, and we looked outside, everything was quiet. So we didn't know what it was. Went back to bed. And about a half an hour later, the doorbell rang. Woke up my husband again because he'd gone right back to sleep. And, pardon me, the police were at the door. And long story short, they were inquiring about our the car that was parked in front of our house, which happened to belong to our son. And they said an impaired driver had hit it. So he wanted to let us know. So we, at the time we'd looked half hour before, the street was all quiet. But at that time, by then, there were a couple of cop cars, a tow truck, and stuff. So that sucked. Not only did it interrupt our sleep, but my son had just paid off his car about a month ago. So now he's dealing with a rental car and having to get his fixed. And even though insurance covers it, and they did get the driver, they said she didn't make it very far up the road. So she was only about a half a block down. We could see the tow truck and stuff there. Anyway, yeah, it's just one of those fluke things that you have no control over, but they affect your life nevertheless. The reason Cameron and I had been up so late Thursday night is because we had learned that Cameron's aunt, which is his mom's twin sister, was not doing very well. She had a fall a little while ago, and then since then she's just declined quite quickly. So Cameron's brother had brought her over from Vancouver Island on Wednesday last Wednesday, so she could visit her sister, and taken her back the same day. It's just hard for my mother-in-law to be away from home for very long. And so we had decided to go in and spend the day with Cameron's cousin. His one brother was already there. He was staying for a few days. Cameron's other cousin, they have his aunt and uncle had two daughters. One lives relatively local to us. It's a good hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half drive, but she's on the mainland here in British Columbia. The other daughter is in Toronto, and she wasn't able to get away until Sunday. She just had commitments she could not get out of. And so we decided to just go spend the day with her, and because we weren't sure, honestly, how imminent his aunt's passing would be, and didn't want her to be alone. And so we went out there Friday and went with Cameron's cousin to her mom's home and stayed there for a few hours. And his aunt was basically just sleeping the whole time, really not conscious of anything. But she was peaceful, not in pain. And then Cameron's cousin's daughter and her boyfriend came also for a while there, and then we all went back to her place and had dinner together and stuff before we headed home. So it had been kind of a long day. And thankfully, Cameron's other cousin did make it out of Toronto on Sunday in between ice storms. I know for those of you who live back east, you've had some terrible winter weather lately. And then his aunt passed away Tuesday afternoon. So there were a few sort of ironies or coincidences. One of which is that their father passed away the day after one of the daughters' birthdays, and then their mom passed away a day after the other daughter's birthday. So it's just kind of one of those life is strange things. Now, she would have been 93 tomorrow. So that means that Cameron's mom is turning 93 tomorrow. And so we are going over to Victoria on Vancouver Island for the weekend to celebrate her birthday. It's going to be a kind of a bittersweet celebration, obviously. And then we presume the service will be sometime next week, because we haven't heard yet. So yeah, just kind of, we can't be too sad in the sense that she was almost 93 years old and she wasn't in any pain and just slipped away in her sleep. But still, it's the first of their 4 sisters to pass away. And first of their husbands have all passed away, but that's the first of of the sisters to go. And they don't have a really big family. Cameron only has four cousins, unlike me, who has huge extended family. But yeah, it's just another one of those life's steps, right? We've all we've both faced the death of a parent, and I've lost various aunts and uncles, and now this is his turn. So that's been going on. And then we finally, on Saturday, had a decent day, got out and cleaned up our yard. I got into those gardens and weeded, and bought some few plants for the, I have some ceramic or pottery, is that the right word? I guess, ceramic pots in my garden that I kind of change out seasonally. So I've got a few pops of color now, and some of the spring bulbs are blooming in that. So just nice to see our yard all tidied up again, got the grass cut and stuff like that. We were supposed to have a guy come on Monday. Sorry, my time is all screwed up. I think it was Monday night. Had a guy from a landscape company was going to come and take a look at our backyard, which we're going to be redoing, beginning to redo this year. Anyway, I have a feeling it's a multi-year project, but he asked if he could postpone it because they'd gotten behind on their actual physical work because of weather, and so we said sure. So I think we'll end up meeting with him probably next week and start getting some ideas for what we're going to do back there. And then, Monday night. Yeah, so I guess it was, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it was Monday night. We went to Peter Frampton and Steve Miller. They were in a smaller arena in the next city over, so it wasn't too far to drive, which is really nice. It was a really good concert. I think Peter Frampton played for almost an hour and a half, and then they changed out the stage, and then Steve Miller played for 2 hours. Both sounded really good. Played a lot of stuff we didn't know, but played a lot of stuff we did know, and really enjoyed that. It was strange during the intermission. I was in the bathroom. I was in the lineup, and this woman came over to me and she said, "Are you Carol Chevalier?" And that's my maiden name. And I said yes, and then I looked at her, and just as she was starting to introduce herself, I said, "I know exactly who you are." It was a woman that I'd gone to school with. We graduated in 1981, and I haven't seen her. Well, we haven't seen each other since, but I totally recognized her, and she said, "You look just the same as you did in high school," which I don't think is true, but she didn't think she looked the same either, even though I thought she did. Anyway, out of the blue, because where I live now is not where I grew up, and where she lives now is not where she grew up, and the place we met is partway in between, so it wasn't someone you'd necessarily expect to run into. So anyway, it was kind of cool. Let's see what else. So we had received the sad news of Cameron's aunt passing away, but earlier that evening we had actually learned that one of our nephews and his girlfriend got engaged. So, for every sad occasion there's a happy one. So they haven't set a date yet, but we're obviously really happy for them. So another family wedding to look forward to. They're always fun. Let's see what else. Just look at my notes here. Oh yeah, so I guess this week there's been a lot of knitting going on in Jessica's house. So our older granddaughter has tried to learn to knit a few different times over the years. So I guess she had a renewed interest. So Jessica was showing her, kind of refreshing her on how to knit. And then our grandson, he's 7, he decided he wanted to learn too. So he was right into it. And then her husband decided to learn too. So all last week, these these guys are all learning to knit. So Jessica was over a couple of days ago, I guess, and she had mentioned that our older granddaughter, she's 13, she was eyeing up Jessica's knitting bag that I'd made her, and expressed interest in having one. So I had one that I had made up. One of the ones that I'd offered up for a prize a few months ago, it was like a turquoise with like kind of doily looking motifs on it. So I had an extra one of those. So I sent that home, and then I said, do you think my grandson's going to want one too? And so I said, well, I have one I've started sewing that I was going to actually make for my daughter for her birthday. And I said, I've got some fabric I think that my grandson would like. And so I finished that up yesterday and gave it to him there. But this is more or less the same. I had picked this up for my daughter because she loves foxes, and they like camping, and so this had struck me as being suitable for her. So I gave one more or less the same as different ties to my grandson. So it's funny because I got the day before that, when I'd sent the one for my granddaughter, I got a text that afternoon from her, and I'm still not used to her having a phone. She's only had it a very short time, and it was just so, I never think to text her because I forget she even has one, but it was kind of cool to get a text from her. And then last night I got a phone call from my grandson to thank me, and again, it's just kind of, we don't talk on the phone that often. I talk to their mom all the time, but yeah, it was kind of cool. Just they're getting older, and it's just neat to see the stages. So yeah, I think that brings me to the end of what I wanted to talk about this week. And it's still morning. Imagine that. I think I'm gonna go for a walk later. I have not been walking because I haven't been feeling that great, and I've been a little bit short of breath. Sometimes when I have a bad cold, I'll get almost kind of asthma-like symptoms. So I'm starting to feel better. I think I can handle a walk today, and it's so gorgeous out there that I really should. I have no idea if I'm going to be visiting my one of my favorite yarn shops in Victoria this weekend. It's not like I need any more yarn, but it's sort of a tradition that when I go, we usually do go by there, but we'll see. That's sort of the least of my priorities right now. Yeah, next, I think it's going to be maybe a bit of a tough next week too with the service and stuff. It's always nice when family comes together. You just hate the circumstance under which you are gathering, right? Anyway, that's not a very cheerful note to end things on, but that's just life right now. So I hope all of you are well. Take care, have a good week, and as far as I know, I'll be back with you again next week. If not, you'll kind of have an idea why. So take care till I see you again.